I honestly don't think I gave the assassins enough time to try since I've been live, but I don't know, that one needed to be done and now it's done. So now we can just hang out. Right? That's what live streams are really about. Us being together as a community. Can't feel that. I'm doing that thing again, Graham. Nobody can hear you talk over the wonderful Sacred Visions meditation by Cerebral Pisces, provided in the link below, or with a link in the description below. If you subscribed yet, oh, I'm too low. This chair is unreliable, just so you know. Whoa. You guys wanna go over here? This is me enjoying being an amateur. Since I'm larping it up, let's do that. I got some feedback from people that watch the show, and they wanted me to go over more Gateway stuff, and I listen to you. I listen to you, and I'll do whatever you want me to, because I've entered some strange reality where Donald Trump is president, and there's a kind of Truman Show thing going on. It's like half Truman Show, half Big Brother. I don't know, I haven't quite figured it out yet, but so I'm gonna find the parts in the document while we listen to some clips from Wai. Well, not clips, there's pieces of his stuff while I look for clips from him. So I think I have the chat working this time. I will check on that directly. It's a Logitech something camera, something 70 camera, I think. Alright, I'm gonna put on some Y for you. Listen for diffusion. Well, actually, the way I want to do it is, thank you, Kyle. Pisces. There's different people, I got confused. Here's why. Check out, I put his link in the description below. That's weird looking to me. So if you know people that understand weird things, you might want to have them look at it. Here's the advertisement for his book. So I figure if I run that, right, we can poke through his other stuff and he won't mind so much. That's about fair. That's how I try to fair use.
Hi, my name is Wei H. Sang, and this is a short video to say that the Fractal Brain Theory book is now finished and available to order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble or Ingram. The Fractal Brain Theory has come a long way in the past few years, and the new ideas are described in great detail in the new book. One of the most interesting of the new ideas is the notion that the genome works exactly as a tiny fractal brain. Now, what does the genome do? The genome computes a body from a fertilized egg. Now, what the fractal brain theory shows is that it does this in exactly the same way that the brain computes thoughts and behavior. The fractal brain theory shows that given a certain level of abstraction, a gene is exactly as a neuron. A gene regulatory network is exactly as a neuronal network, and a genome is exactly as a brain. And furthermore, the processes by which evolution alters genes and genomes in order to alter the bodies of animals works in exactly the same way that creativity and learning alters our thoughts and our behavior. All of this is described in great detail in the new book. And all of this leads to a revolutionary new way of creating artificial intelligence, one that overcomes the limitations and problems of existing approaches in AI and machine learning, and also in a way that unifies the best of existing approaches in AI and machine learning in order to produce the so-called master algorithm that is in effect a unified theory of existing AI and machine learning. So the Fractal Brain Theory book is finished and available to order now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble or Ingram. Order your copy today.
I do not necessarily endorse the purchase of his book, but I don't not endorse it either. So there is that. No, go back. Thanks to Jassy and Lisa for showing up and saying hi in the chat. It's my favorite. See, he's got... It may be this one, but this one is a good start for everybody. This one, he goes into neuroscience a lot and how your brain works, and the part I'm looking for really is... Hold on a second, dude. The part I'm looking for really is where he talks about how the brain processes, decides what you see, because I think it relates to the panopticon thing we have going on in our society right now, and I think if I can reference that to people and then have conversations built upon that foundation, I can get somewhere really interesting. So that's what we're looking for. But I'm going to go find the stuff from the Lacerta files and gateway process document that I wanted to go into. And I'll also check the chat and see how everyone else is doing. Oh, if you want to put your voice on here with me so I don't have to be the only person talking, that Discord link below will get you in there, and then if you get my attention in chat that you're in there, I can bring you into the audio everybody can hear. So that'd be fun.
The problem is genome. So basically, how does the brain work? No one knows. So people say the answer is 50 years away, 50 to 100 years away. The genome has been sequenced, but no one knows how it works. And people say this is the next step, and they say it's decades away. Okay, the answer. What I propose is basically, with the fractal brain theory, there's actually one solution for both of them. So the fractal brain theory, the fractal brain, actually, the fractal extends to the cell, to subcellular level. Okay, this is very exciting kind of way of looking at things. Okay, that's a fractal globule. That's a very new finding. That's how DNA is arranged. So basically, we'll talk about it later on. This book came out 2015,
here,
and
no
it's called The Future of the Brain. And basically, 25 top neuroscientists in the world, they basically discuss what's the next step for neuroscience. It's well recommended, 2015, brand new. Recurring sentiment is basically there's all this knowledge about neuroscience, so basically there's need for unification. So it's three unifications. There's all the details of neuroscience, all these facts and knowledge about neurons and kind of neurotransmitters, but how does it all come together to make the brain work? No one knows. And also the second one is basically reconciling mind and brain. So you have the mind, parts list of cognition, and the parts list of neurobiology, but you have to reconcile the two. And that's another big integration that people are saying, how do you do it? And the third one, that I discuss a lot in this book, in 5 other chapters in fact, is the link between the genome and the brain and behavior. Obviously there is, I've rotated that around, I've kind of extended the nodes, and I can use binary trees to represent grids. You imagine those kind of things, but that's another talk for another day. So imagine, so basically there is this kind of recursive process to a point that's convergent, and recursive process that's divergent. Okay. kind of drifted off into a bit of irrelevance there. Well, okay, keep it focused now. Now, another concept which we're going to introduce, which is absolutely fundamental, which is fundamental for neuroscience, also for computer science and artificial intelligence, is binary trees. Okay, now that's a tree, that's a kind of tree of a neuron. These are other neurons, and that's a binary tree. It just simply means that it's a tree, and the branches are always in two. They always branch in binary. Okay, that's a binary tree. Now, binary trees are fundamental, and they're actually the simplest fractal, one of the simplest fractals you can possibly define. So it's, so a tree is self-similar, and this is mathematically one of the simplest fractals there is. And it's also symmetrical, so each branch is a perfect symmetry of every other branch. So it's like nested symmetry, and it's a recursive function. So a binary tree captures, in essence, recursivity, symmetry, and self-similarity. In essence, So now. Okay, with binary trees, that's also a binary tree. Can you see? It's just the same thing, but kind of made into a fractal grid. And okay, that's a binary tree, and I've rotated it around. I've kind of extended the nodes, and I can use binary trees to represent grids. See? And so I've recursively made a bigger grid. And in those squares, I'm going to put pixels, either black or white, and I can draw little pictures, can't I? Like a JPEG. Like you take a camera, a phone on your. Sorry, you take a picture on your camera phone. Which means I can.
This is me checking in on the chat. What's going on, people? Is he making sense? The recursion part, the fact where you go back and you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, that's part of what I'm looking for in here.
Can represent things. Okay, so binary trees can also represent time. So here, basically, this binary tree is not representing space. I mean, these are pictures, but this is succession in time. So I'm using binary trees to represent a sequence. Okay, in time, which could also be in space as well, because this could be just a sequence of DNA represented by a binary tree. Now, just a bit of a technical. Kind of a background to explain for the rest of the talk, basically, and it's the idea of combinatorial codes. Now, it sounds like a fancy language. I mean, don't leave the room. It's like a fancy term. It's scary, but you use combinatorial codes every day when you write letters of the alphabet. Put letters of the alphabet in combination. You make words. And that's a combinatorial code, and numerals. 0 to 9, you put them together, you make numbers. That's a combinatorial code. Now, a binary combinatorial code is basically when you can only use 0 and 1. So it's a binary combinatorial code. Simple as that. Okay. Now, if you've got a binary tree like that, that's called a spatial coding. If each one of these nodes you use to represent something. So that first node could represent Paul, George, Ringo, and who's the other guy? John. Okay, so that's kind of like spatial coding. And it's not very efficient, because to represent everyone on the planet, you need 7 billion little beads. So it's not very efficient. It should be used combinatorial coding. So okay, with combinatorial coding, you see, with those 4 boxes, you put a 0 or 1. Can you see as I go across? If I put a 0 or 1 in the first box, that's 2 combinations. But as I go across, I make 4 combinations, and so on. And here are all the combinations of 0 and 1 I can put in those 4 boxes. And there are actually 16 combinations I can represent. Okay, so it's become more powerful already. I can do the same with time. Instead of now I've actually got 1.
All right, I found this stuff in the gateway process and Lacerta files that I wanted to go over. So let's use that, shall we? Or are you guys too into it? Well, if you're too into this, I linked his channel down the bottom. You can check him out. I don't want you to leave me right now, but he's a cool guy. It's pretty deep stuff, but it really gave me a good pair of glasses for looking at the way things work. And I think maybe, I don't know about this part, but there's parts of what he says that line up with this other stuff I'm about to go over. Let me check in with the chat real quick, and then I'll start with the gateway process side of it, and then do the Lacerta files tie-in, or at least the parts that are sticking together in my head. Hey KS, glad you could join us. Alright, hi to everybody that's not saying hello in the chat. We love you too. please to subscribe and bell. At least subscribe, because I don't know, people respect you more the bigger sub count you have. Just it's nice, and your thumbs are great too. Alright, that's the Lacerta part. If you guys are reading ahead, you're cheaters. Cheaters? Cheaters. I need some background for me at least. Alright, so if I was successful, you can still hear him a little bit, but mainly it's just me. How's that music volume? Does that work for you? Is it good? Can't hear it? Shut it off, we don't care. Please say something in the chat so I know. And it takes you time. There's a time delay. I'm a little bit near future. Speaking of future, let's play time traveler. Let's play time traveler real quick, okay? This is fun. Alright. Imagine you go back in time, but you quantum leap into like your grandpa or something. You know how you would be really, really scared of not screwing anything up? Well, to your future self, that's where you are right now. Not your grandpa, of course, but to your future grandchild, that's where you are right now. So, whenever you have to do something that you don't really want to do, remember all the ripples down the timeline. Every choice you make has. Woo! That's playing time traveler. There's a pirated book I want to plug. No wait, not a pirated book, one you can buy, but it's called Virus of the Mind. I don't know if I can make you do that. It's foundational memetics, like memetics 101 for beginners. So if you're not familiar with it, like their memes are a hell of a lot deeper than pictures with words on them on the internet. So. And then, without further ado, the parts of the gateway process and the Lacerta files that match nicely as far as I'm concerned. Music. Here's down in section 14, the consciousness matrix. The part where it starts talking about the universe is composed of interacting energy fields, some at rest and some in motion. It is, in and of itself, one gigantic hologram of unbelievable complexity. According to the theories of Carl Pribram, a neuroscientist at Stanford, and David Bohm, a physicist at the University of London, the human mind is also a hologram which attunes itself to the universal hologram by the medium of energy exchange, thereby deducing meaning and achieving the state which we call consciousness. And then the Lacerta part that I liked. Is there a scientific substantiation for paranormal powers? As, for example, with your powers of thought? Because she allegedly demonstrated telepathy in this interview. I'm checking on the chat, and then thanks for being. They'll make this bigger, maybe, huh? Did you hear nothing I said and it was terrible, or how did that go? Oh my. Should I go over it again? Or push onward? What? Look, I needed to order a larger size. You can do that at the link below in the description. Alright, now, here's some Lacerta files. Okay, truth time. Just truth matters. And you can get your Truniform at the link in the description. I have water over here that I don't want to drink on camera because it's still in a mason jar and I don't want to send the wrong message. I mean, like, last time I meant to send the wrong message, so this time I was... Anyway. I can... See what it's doing to me? There. Is there a scientific substantiation for paranormal powers? As, for example, with your powers of thought? Yes. In order to explain that, one has to acknowledge the physical reality of the sphere of influence. Feldraum is the word she uses, which apparently isn't a real word. The way anti-pause in the quatrain from Nostradamus isn't a real word. I'll try to do it. Just wait a second. You're going to have to separate your mentality from the illusion that which you see is the true nature of the universe. It is, at best, the surface of a side. Imagine for yourself that all the matter here, you, this table, this pencil, this technical device, this paper, does not really exist, but that it is rather only the result of a field oscillation and a concentration of energy. All the matter that you see, every creature, every planet, every star in this universe, has an information energy equivalent in the sphere of influence, which is located on the main field, the general level of things. Now, there is not only one level, but several. Last time I had mentioned that highly developed species which is capable of changing levels, which is something completely different from the simple bubble changing, for bubbles are a part of each and every level. Bubbles, I'm guessing, are like energy fields, but like... Do you understand? Dimensions, as you call them, are part of a solitary bubble. Bubbles or universal foam are part of a level, and the levels are layered in the sphere of influence. While the sphere of influence acting in the capacity of single physical size is essentially unending, it is composed of innumerable information energy layers and general levels. There are in the sphere of influence no null levels. All are the same, but they are separated by means of their energy conditions. I notice I am confusing you now. I think I ought to stop with this explanation. that also live on the Discord to let me know if anybody wants to come on that has come in. Sorry. If anybody shows up in the Discord that wants to come on, somebody in the Discord, please come to YouTube chat and let me know. I will keep reading. Which one? Which one should I keep reading? I'll tell you. I'll say whatever you want. I'll read whatever you want, guys. Throat for rent. Verbal only. When I start reading again, you guys are gonna chuckle. I chuckled when I saw what I was about to start reading again. Question. No, please continue. How do concrete paranormal powers arise? Answer. Well, okay then. Let's try something simpler. Again, it's not completely correct, but let's begin in this manner. Tangible matter on this side is mirrored in the sphere of influence, Feldrum, as a field with distinct layers. These layers contain information, as an example, about the simple structure of matter, or the string frequency, but also there is stored information. Hold on a second. Alright, someone said something about hide the chat. Can you elaborate real quick? Because I just realized I didn't acknowledge that. So, is there something I should do still? Alright, I'm sorry. Whoopsie. Is that called letting the audience derail you? Anyway, that's my host's fault. I'll get back to it. No, I was building suspense. Okay. Tangible matter on this side is mirrored in the sphere of influence, Feldrum, as a field with distinct layers. These layers contain information, as an example, about the simple structure of matter or the string frequency, but also there is stored information stemming from the development of matter. Are you familiar with the human concept of morphogenetic fields? One part of the layer could be designated as such. Now, there is still another intermediary layer for which you unfortunately have no human concept because you're nubs. Since the theory is not common in human thinking. Since you're nubs. So we're talking about another intermediary layer. Let's call it a paralayer. For this layer is mainly responsible for everything which you call psi and paranormal, and which lies outside the boundaries of your primitive science. This paralayer lies between the layers of matter and morphogenetic layers of a field in the sphere of influence. This layer lies between the layers of matter and the morphogenetic layers of a field in the sphere of influence. It can actively integrate with both. Your body, for example, is mirrored as a field in the sphere of influence. This doesn't mean that it does not also exist here as well as flesh, blood, bones, in the form of matter, strings, or atoms, but not only that. Existence is always a duality. Some layers of the field contain simple information about the solid matter of your body and its frequency, while other layers contain information about your spirit, your consciousness, or, speaking from a human religious point of view, your soul. Awareness or consciousness in this case is a simple energy matrix, divided into different layers of your field in the sphere of influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Awareness or consciousness in this case is a simple energy matrix, divided into different layers of your field in the sphere of influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Genuine awareness can also exist here on the matter side, but only in the form of post-plasma, the fifth form of matter. With the necessary physical knowledge and corresponding technology, the consciousness awareness matrix or soul can also be separated from its field of rest. The soul can be separated from its field of rest with the necessary physical knowledge and corresponding technology. It can, despite its removal, continue to exist in a self-sufficient manner for a certain amount of time. Time, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. This is the broken clock theory. That has the strange occult name of soul robbing. But above all, we're talking about science here, not about magic or dark forces. Please note, the comment by Oli K, the soul robin, was mentioned in one of the radical, religiously motivated comments in connection with the reptilian species. But back to your question. Creatures with more powerful mental powers can have a direct influence on the paralayer by means of their consciousness awareness fields. Now, this layer is not limited only to the individual, but rather as part of a general information layer. You could call it, in a prosaic sense, the community soul social memory complex that is connected with all animate and inanimate matter and all consciousness which exist on this main level. The biological cause for these abilities lies on the side of matter, by the way, in the pituitary gland, which, if you research, what the NPCs know about it, they standardly calcify by teenage years, based on the, I'm guessing, diet and the fact that it's okay to medicate our water with fluoride, but I bet you if we put Prozac in it, you'd freak out. Flint, what about Flint? Flint still got shit water, y'all. I digress. Alright, I gotta check with chat, take a drink, rebound, and then I'll start again. Chat has nothing to say on the subject. It appears chat has nothing to say on the subject. Alright, the audio is questionable again. Here's hoping. Actually, I'm gonna spoil myself with amateur privilege, put Y back on for a minute, and do biological things. I love you all. Thank you for your patience and understanding as I perfect and practice the craft. please stop by truthclothing.io and purchase your true uniform so that people know you believe in me with all your heart.
Kind of box, but actually the same box is moving in time now. So next time step I can put 0 or 1, 0 or 1, 0 or 1. And which basically in 4 time steps with one box I can represent 16 things again. And I can combine space and time, so each of these boxes represents 16 things, but then I animate it in 4 time steps, and suddenly I can represent 65,000 things.
Surely though, you can't have space without time and vice versa.
Exactly, yes, exactly. So basically, if you take these 4 boxes to 10 billion brain cells, then obviously that's representing a very complex kind of thing we can do. So basically, this is a very simple way of explaining combinatorial space. Now, the thing about binary trees, okay, is that they're hierarchical. Can you see that's top and that's bottom? So it's kind of intrinsically hierarchical nature to binary trees. And this brings out more in kind of, kind of makes it more explicit. So that's a binary tree, and that's defining boxes. And so basically, can you see there's a hierarchy? So that's the top. And that contains these enclosed boxes. So that's top and that's bottom. That's the container, and these are all contained. So it's kind of hierarchy in binary trees. And the same when we go across, like we did earlier on. We went across sideways in space, and that's like directories on a computer. So you're going across. You got another hierarchy. So that's top and that's down. So like computer directories. Basically you go across, but they're like nested folders. You can see just to help you visualize. And basically we do the same with time. It just means, binary trees are inherently hierarchical, and you've got this concept of hierarchy and top and down. Okay, so you can do it in space and time across. So that's basically the essence, the groundwork for basically explaining the genome and brain. So there's a bit of a technical background. I'll kind of whiz through. Okay, so the hard stuff's over. Okay, get the tricky stuff over at the beginning. So now already this language is actually very close to the language of genes, isn't it? Because genes, what are genes? They're a combinatorial code. These are your 23 chromosomes, okay, in a human being. And basically, it's basically 4 letters, basically. So instead of a base 2 combinatorial code, you've got a base 4 combinatorial code, which you can easily represent with 2 bits. So already, DNA is a combinatorial code. Okay, that's what it is. And also, DNA can be represented with a binary tree, like we represented time. A sequence can be represented with a binary tree. And also, what DNA does, ontogenesis, i.e. the formation of my body, is also a binary tree, because the cells always divide in a binary way. So already, we have a way of looking at genes in our language, which is a very nice fit. What we're going to explain now, just a bit of background. I mean, there's your classic DNA, you kind of double helix, and it's basically, this is amazing, this is incredible. You've got 2 meters of DNA, okay, in each cell. And each cell, I mean, you can't see a cell. It's basically smaller than a speck of dust. That's how big a cell is. And basically, that's crammed into, it's not even crammed into the cell. It's crammed into the nucleus of the cell, which is even a tiny little speck of the cell. I'll show you how it's done. It's done in a fractal way. I'll show you later on. Okay, it's ingenious. It's actually brand new finding. Anyway, it's actually tightly bound in what's called chromatin. So it's actually not loose strands like this. It's never loose like this. It's always bound in these kind of like beads on a string kind of format. Then it's kind of really compressed into these chromosomes. Then it's kind of loosened out to make it function. So that's just how it's organized, DNA. So these 2 meter strands crammed into each nucleus. Now, okay, now the trick is to show how this binary language, this binary combinatorial code language, is everywhere in the brain. Absolutely, once you see the brain in this way, there's no going back. Okay, absolutely no going back. Okay, just to quickly skim through some background of the entire brain, just to give you an overview of what the brain is. The brain is essentially flat sheets. So it's basically your cortex, okay, so that's drawn to scale. Your cerebral cortex, the cortex is the word for bark, which means it's basically like, it's crinkly, yeah? But it actually flattens out.
So crinkly, bro.
Sheet.
So crinkly.
Slightly concave, and that's basically...
Alright, I don't know, perhaps it's rude now to come back from your fascinating lecture to go over my stuff, but, you should buy his book. Tell him you heard... I sent him a letter one time, it was handwritten, and it was, like, from me, not from my host, so, like, people don't like that. And, he never replied, but he's a good guy as far as I can tell. Now, but back to your question. Here's hoping the music's, that's where I'm supposed to put it. It does get louder at some point still, right? Back to your question. Wait, am I doing this right? No. You're supposed to be able to watch me. And you should also know. Creatures with more powerful mental powers can have a direct influence on the paralayer by means of their conscious awareness fields. Now, this layer is not limited only to the individual, but rather as part of a general information layer. You could call it, in a prosaic sense, the community soul that is connected with all animate and inanimate matter, and all consciousness, which exists on this main level. Or the Higgs boson field. The biological cause for these abilities lie on the side of matter, by the way, in the pituitary gland, which, now this is translated from some other language, so it could be that, or it could be disinfo edit, right? Which always is in the position to generate the frequencies to actively control the sphere of influence. Even you people could theoretically do this, however, you are solidly blocked in these things. As I have said, the paralayer can interact with mind as well as with matter. For example, if I decide to use my mental powers once more in order to move this pencil, then, simply said, I imagine in my mind how the consciousness awareness expands, amplifies itself on the matter side in the form of post-plasma to the pencil. In the sphere of influence, this causes simultaneously an automatic command from the consciousness awareness layer to the paralayer to interact with the matter layer of the pencil. Since the paralayer is not confined to the body, it is not even a problem that the pencil lies over there, for I can unerringly reach it, even without moving my matter body. Post-plasma on this side, paralayer on the other. I have control over the pencil, and the interaction brings the matter field of the pencil to the point where it changes in the manner in which it moves. For example, and then she apparently throws the pencil, no, she lifts it up 20 centimeters. Bloop. And then he asks what kinds of paranormal activities can one generate with that. All kinds. Everything you call paranormal. So, that's good, right? The link is in the description if you want to read some more, or I can be coaxed into reading some more at some point. But, that's enough of a bedtime story for one night. Please join me again for all the crazy shenanigans on the Broken Clock Theory with your Broken Clock, Griswold Grimm. All the support links for me in the show are at the bottom of the description. I don't shove it on you, but if you want to interact, there's ways. Comments are always appreciated to feed the algorithm. It lets it think I'm interesting. Even if we just back and forth about recipes, I think it don't care. People are commenting. He's a cool guy. So. Good night.